something that kind of sounded like, how about those Mustangs? There's a lot of love to go around. We're going to enjoy this, but hey, oh yeah, we are! Hold on, the game was 7-7 in the first quarter. Offense gets the ball, false start. Kev gets the wind knocked out. How about Preston State? One touchdown. Defense, offensive line. What it came down to is what we said it would. It was back and forth. Second and third quarter, they ran it a little bit. We struggled a little bit. Hey, in the fourth quarter, let me get this out. SMU's defense, 3 sacks. Louisville's defense, no sacks. And offense, we ran that ball. Last year we won a conference championship, and I handed this man, what is that called again? Big sledgehammer. And he gave it to me. See that? Sir. First quarterback since 2014 at SMU. 281 yards passing. 113 yards rushing.
Hi everyone and welcome on this podcast. My name is Flora Tissier and I'm so happy to be with Bill and Billy today. So I'm a senior on the track and field and cross country team. As you can maybe guess from my accent, I come from France, from the south of France, a town called Montpellier. Already senior year, I can't believe it's almost over, but I really had an amazing time here, and I mean it's not done yet. I had like so much fun in the classroom, like with academics, but also with the athletic program. I really think like that the athletic program here is special, and I'm so proud to be a Mustang. I met Bill through SMU after ball. And so today, Bill and Billy are going to speak about this amazing win against Louisville the past weekend. So, I mean, can you believe, guys, that we are top 25
Isn't that
in
amazing?
the nation?
That is absolutely amazing. How do you say 25 in French?
25.
There you go. We're that.
So, yeah, we are in the top 25 in the nation. A little part in French, so you're sure that I'm French.
Yeah.
Donc ma famille fait aussi du champagne en France, près d'Épernay, Chavaux-Courcourt. Ça s'appelle le champagne Jérôme Tissier et Fils. Donc je m'y connais aussi un peu en vin et enfin quel plaisir, le vin épique est vraiment délicieux. Donc aujourd'hui le vin of the week est Authenticity, right? And
Right.
you're gonna love it.
Yeah. Whatever she said, I think I agree with.
Cheers to that.
Okay, now I will leave you with the podcast, you all, and go Mustang!
This is the On the Pony Express podcast, hosted by Billy Embody, brought to you by Epic Estate Wines. Walking strong on the Pony Express, a weekly segment with SMU alum, owner, vintner of Epic Estate Wines, Bill Armstrong. Epic Estate Wines, world-class wines from Paso Robles wine country. Learn more, Epic, E-P-O-C-H, epicwines.com. And now your host. Billy Embody. 1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Walking Strong. Bill Armstrong, I'm Billy Embody.
My podcast partner right here in front of the Mustangs, right here.
Yeah.
You know, Moody Coliseum right there. Armstrong Fieldhouse right beside there. Binkley Parking Garage.
The Wellness Center, the Commons.
All that. We're not going to talk about all those Armstrong buildings. But hey, wasn't Flora awesome?
She was great.
Oh, man.
We nailed it. One take.
One take. We had a life after ball dinner. And I just fell in love with that accent so much. I said, you have to introduce us.
Yes.
You know what I need to have her do? Maybe we can get this on an outtake, is to tell her how she says y'all in French.
Oh, yeah.
That would be very, very cute.
Yeah.
So, I've got a wine this week that is just perfect for this, before our Stanford game, which is in 10 days, 11 days.
Yep.
It is our Authenticity. And y'all will not believe how awesome this wine is. It's a 98-point scoring wine. It's essentially a 100% Syrah. And this will change your life. And the reason, oh my God, dude, seriously, that is fantastic. I want Flora to try this, but I need to see her ID.
Yeah.
Yes, so, although they started drinking in France when they were about 10.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway. Here's the reason I picked Authenticity for this week, because we're going to be playing Stanford in 10 days, and can you hear us over that? I hope you can. Lots going on right here at this in front of the Mustangs. I think Stanford is one of the greatest, most authentic universities in the country, and so I really wanted to show this wine for that week. So let me give you a little history about Stanford. First of all, I had two schools I wanted to go to in college. Number one was SMU, and number two was Stanford. Stanford was my safety school, and I got into both, but I decided to go to SMU. But let me tell you about Stanford, and I'm telling you this because we're having a get-together at my winery in, I think, 9 days from now, on Friday before the Stanford game, and my winery is located about 180 miles from the Stanford campus, just up Highway 101. And I want anybody who's watching this show, who's thinking about going to the Stanford game, to come by that party that we're going to have.
Yeah.
It is going to be a
They've
smoking
showed out already.
Is it? Well, yeah. We always have extra tickets for the right people.
Yeah.
But and then we're going to have a tailgate before the Stanford game.
Yeah.
So I want you to all come to Stanford if you can, because Stanford is sick. I mean, SMU's campus is about 250 acres, I think, plus or minus. Stanford's is 8,200 acres. It's one of the biggest campuses in the entire country. It has this very unique architecture, kind of a Spanish adobe, early Spanish American history kind of architecture. But what I love about it is the campus itself was designed by Frederick Law Olmsted. You know who that is?
No.
For those of you who, like Billy, might be from a cow town like, let's say, Fort Worth, that's the same guy who designed New York Central Park.
Wow.
Yeah, and he designed Stanford University.
I was going to say Stanford looks like a much higher quality version of a bunch of La Quinta buildings, which is what TCU looks like.
I cannot wait to dog TCU on this podcast, because we know what happened the night before our game.
Yeah.
Oh God, I just want to.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that. I'm not sure I will.
History lesson. History lesson. Back to class.
Back
Professor.
to class. So okay. So anyway, so let me tell you about Stanford. So Stanford was formed in 1885 by a guy named Leland Stanford, and he was a super rich guy. Moved from New York to California during the gold rush, and then became one of the most influential industrialists in our country. Started the big railroad fortune, blah, blah, blah. Then he became governor of California.
Wow.
And he and his wife were married. They struggled to have kids, but they did have one child. And unfortunately, they tragically lost that son to typhoid. and when he was 15 years old. And so Leland and his wife Jane said, you know what, I want to start a campus. So all the children of California will be our child.
Very cool.
Which is very cool. And so they gave $40 million and that land, because he was a big thoroughbred raiser.
Back then, too.
Back then,
Oof,
yeah.
man.
So that was like, in today's dollars, like $1.3 billion. And actually the technical name of Stanford is Leland Stanford Junior University. You don't ever hear about that. Anyway, you need to come to see Stanford because it is amazing.
Yeah.
It is one of the best schools in the entire world. And one of 8 schools in the ACC that's private. Some people say it's one of the best universities in the entire world. They have a massive endowment now of like $38 billion. And like SMU, it is a very entrepreneurial university. In fact, it kind of created Silicon Valley because it was kind of nothing until the 60s. And then they just had a really great provost and a president, and they decided to create this kind of like incubator of ideas, and that became Silicon Valley. So all the semiconductors came there, and then ultimately the internet, and here we are.
Wow.
So anyway, there's your Stanford history lesson.
There it is.
If there's any Stanford fans listening to this, I bet you I was pretty close to being 100% accurate on that. See, they're applauding me right there. That's how good this was. Okay, so anyway, that's my Stanford story. Please come to the Epoch party in 9 days there.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what arguably might be one of the greatest games in SMU's history, the Louisville game.
The result?
Although I love the way Flora said, "Oh, we're 5-1."
Yeah.
We're 5-1, baby. Oh, I like the way Flora called it, Louisville.
Yes.
That's a very French way of saying it, right? So anyway, I gotta say, I was super nervous. I was super nervous going into the game because even though we had just crushed TCU, beat them like a stepchild, we beat Florida State like a rented mule. But let's face it, we had a lot of breaks. We had a lot of takeaways. And you love takeaways, but you can't rely on takeaways.
And you're also at home.
And you're also at home. So here we're going into Louisville, and they're good.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cardinals are good. They had played they had just lost to Notre Dame on the road.
Yep.
They should have won.
Yep.
They started slow, lots of turnovers, and yet they almost came back and won. So, you're coming into Louisville, and by the way, when you go into Louisville, that stadium is monstrous.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I felt like in the movie Gladiator when you walked into the Coliseum and looking around. That's kind of the way I felt like when I was in there, just like, holy shit.
Well, you go back to what you were talking about at the wine tasting with David Miller.
Yeah.
And you were like, once you redo part of the stadium, it looks like once you step into there, you're like, man, we've got to go campaign against University Park and raise the height restrictions.
Oh, I totally agree. We need to get all these. We need to wrap around with suites because you go there and it's like sick. It was amazing. Yeah. So anyway, so we get into the game. I was intimidated. I was intimidated by the stadium. I was intimidated by the crowd. I was intimidated by the history, and I'm thinking, how the boys going to do today?
Yeah.
And you know what? They showed up.
Yeah.
They were very businesslike. They weren't hyped up. That's one thing I like about the Rhett's team. He doesn't. It's not rah-rah. When you're in the locker room, he says, "Do the job. You know the job. We're going to get out physical. Start fast. Blah blah."
There's going to be ebbs and flows.
Ebbs and flows. They're going to get the momentum. We're going to have the momentum. Anyway, so we get there, and we showed the mettle of our team.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. I think that we showed the world. I mean, now we're rated top 25.
Yep.
Number 17 by The Athletic, by the way.
Hey, shout out The Athletic.
Shout out to The Athletic. So it was just great. I mean, I'm not sure how you felt, but at halftime I felt wonderful. At the end of the third quarter, I was getting nervous. Yeah. They owned us in the third quarter. They had all the momentum. They had the crowd, but I was on the sidelines, and the guys just weren't freaked out.
No.
They were just kind of like, all right, we took their best shot.
Yeah.
We're getting off the canvas.
Yeah.
And they came and put on a great fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. As far as college football games go, that is why fans love college football.
100%.
I mean,
and that whole Saturday too.
That whole Saturday. I mean, it was I mean, 34-27 is a great score for college football.
Yep.
A lot of offense.
Yep.
But if you looked at the stat sheets for the game, it was essentially an even game.
Yeah,
really even.
Yep.
And I think we grew up in front of my eyes, the fans' eyes, the Mustang Nation's eyes, and in the national eyes on that game.
100%.
I mean, it was just something else.
Start fast. KJ gets him going.
Oh man,
You know,
KJ is growing up with
nails.
KJ is growing up with the team.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen. I mean, it's just
you want to
really
know the stat?
fun.
I got a stat for you.
Okay, give it to me.
So he is, over his 3-game stretch as a starter, the #1 graded offensive player in the ACC. And he is the 3rd highest rated player by PFF. His offensive grade over this 3-game stretch
KJ,
in the entire country out of Power 4 players.
Wow.
#1 in passer efficiency in ACC games, in the ACC in conference games since he's taken over. So only 2 games for him. But, I mean, with the conference of Cam Ward and Cade Klubnik and all of these established veteran guys, he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's got to take it on the road. He's got to keep it going and all of those things. But, man, a guy who's going to start his 6th game when SMU goes to Stanford, what a day for him. You know, Preston gets to throw that touchdown pass. So special.
Proud of Preston.
Yep.
I mean, he comes in. None of us knew what happened to KJ.
Yeah.
You know, thinking that he hurt a rib. You know what went on, and then Preston walks out there and they get that little 5-yard penalty.
Yeah.
It was going to be a run.
Yeah.
Then he get the 5-yard penalty and he throws that dime. And it was very Preston-like. I mean, it wasn't like he burned it in there. He just stood there and he just timed it beautifully.
Yep.
Beautiful one-handed catch. I mean, I was really happy for him. He was so fired up. And I think it was a little bit of like, I don't know what the right retribution or something.
Yeah,
what's the right word?
A combination of relief and retribution.
Yeah.
You know, over him and just saying, hey, I can do this. I can step in when this team needs me and be a guy, you know, if it happens again, which, Rhett said it when they made the decision. They're going to need Preston Stone at some point, and you haven't heard the last of them.
And I really don't think Louisville saw that coming. That play call.
No.
So that was brilliant.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Scott Natty today at practice, and he said that it was going from the 3rd quarter to the 4th quarter, and you know Louisville had dominated us in the 3rd, and he said he looks over and KJ is standing by himself by the water cooler, and they were playing some sound over the intercom, and he was sitting there just jamming. He feels like nothing was bothering him.
Very on brand. Nothing bothers him.
Yeah, and he showed it.
Yeah.
So my player of the game, KJ.
KJ.
I mean, he was unbelievable. And my play of the game was that 4th down quarterback draw. Was that in the 2nd quarter?
Yeah.
60 yards untouched.
Yep.
Damn. Was that beautiful?
I think Rhett continues to find different pieces each game to implement. I think against Louisville, a lot of that, I believe it'd probably be a split zone, but you bring the motion in, you bring it across, Stone Eby motioning in, kick it out, and then, I mean, they kind of, when you're that open with it, I think Rhett said after the game it was either going to be really close, we were maybe going to be stuffed, or it was going to be wide open. Sure enough, wide open. For KJ, and took it.
I think the nation said, holy shit, SMU is for real on
100%.
On that play.
100%.
And I got to say, on the sidelines, I think the team even said, holy shit.
We got something here.
We got something here.
And the defensive line, speaking of having something, they just kind of chipped away throughout the game.
Yep.
And then Isaiah Wacobia ices things with the interception, in part because of pressure.
How many defensive players do we have? I mean, Wilson, amazing.
Kobe Wilson is great.
Wacobia did great. McGill did great.
Yep.
And E-Rob, you're my dog.
He is,
Man, he was just, though, every single play was just, E-Rob was just coming after him, just like the big dog that he is.
I think for Horse and Hound magazine, I mean, we're going to have to start picking a horse and a hound each game.
Thoroughbred and a dog, that's for sure. There's my horse and my hound, because they were just spectacular. Bill Armstrong with Horse and Hound magazine. E-Rob, you were a dog today, and KJ, you're a thoroughbred. So you guys need to be on the cover of the magazine.
Hopefully we'll make it.
No, thanks. Appreciate that.
Anyway, huge win for SMU. Mustang Nation, you have to be loving it, because we're now top 25, top 17 if you believe the Athletic. But for just a really weird game against BYU, we're almost banging on top 10.
Yeah.
You know, we really are.
A lot of buzz.
So it's really fun. Our next game, let's talk about it. We have a bye week. The team needs it.
Yep.
Burchard was kind of banged up.
Super banged
A
up.
lot of guys were a little bit sore, so we need this bye week. And so let's talk about. So do I call them the Indians? That was it was Stanford Indians back in the day.
Oh, was it?
And then it
More
was
history.
And then it was Stanford Cardinals.
They are Cardinal.
And now it's the tree.
Yeah, the Stanford tree is the mascot.
Is the mascot. What is that? I mean, you got to be kidding me. By the way, Stanford, you're going a little woke on me. I'm just saying. That's why SMU is catching you from behind, is because we don't have that woke thing. Need to get over that. So I don't want to get political, but that's a fact. Anyway, let's talk about the game, the Stanford game.
Coming off a 31-7 loss to Virginia Tech, I believe they have Notre Dame this week on the road, so they'll have to travel back. They've got a lot to get right. Troy Taylor, you and I talked about before the year, very good coach, has an incredible story coming up from the high school ranks and all those things, kind of bet on himself, and it's paid off. He's now the head coach at Stanford, but they can't go to the portal and grab guys. You know, they can't do that. They have to recruit through the high school ranks, you know, unless they're taking a super high academic transfer here and there. But
that's their choice. That's their choice.
It is their choice, correct.
I mean, let's face it. There's 3 schools that can't go to the portal when you get right down to it. Yep. It's the Pentagon, Air Force, Army, Navy.
Yep.
You can't get transfers. You can't get NIL.
Yep.
So Stanford's got a $38 billion endowment. If they wanted to, they could use some of that endowment to go get people out of the transfer portal. It's their call for not doing that. I would encourage them to do that just because there's a lot of people that are really smart that grew up in an environment that didn't give them a chance to show off their academics.
Yep.
And for them to say, you know, you got to have a 35 ACT or whatever to get into, I think it's I'm not sure that's really great.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I agree.
I mean, Stanford's got to play their own game.
Yep.
Anyway.
They're going to play hard. They're going to play the right way. They're just a ways away right now from being competitive. I think this is a game where SMU, if they circle the wagons right after a bye week, they're going to be able to maybe flex a little bit. There's a lot going on here. There's a trip out to the West Coast.
Yep.
Take a week off.
And they all want to come to the Epoch party.
Yeah, we had to turn the team away.
I had to turn the team. They really wanted to come, so they're going to be missing. They're going to be bummed out about that. But you know what? Look at what happened to Alabama.
Yep.
Going into Vanderbilt, you can't take any game for granted.
Nope.
You know, I mean,
I think that's another talking point for SMU. You know,
I totally agree.
You know, you can take any little thing this time of year, and I don't know if you saw this on the mini movie that SMU released. I'll have to send it to you if not.
A mini movie.
So they do a mini movie after each game where they recap it, and it's great footage, behind the scenes stuff.
Okay.
Maurice Crum took the Rumble in the Jungle, because you know we were there for that, for Louisville.
Very cool.
Well, the backstory on that, which you know, Cassius, was the underdog.
Yes.
So he turned that around and said this Rumble in the Jungle, the backstory is actually SMU is the underdog going into Louisville.
Yeah.
And took their own party and turned it into, hey, we're the underdogs. Now, I'm not saying that's why SMU won or anything like that, but any little thing you can capitalize on.
Yeah, because it's fun being the underdog.
Yeah.
We go win a touchdown down, or it started off almost 2 touchdowns down on the line.
Yeah.
And then we go in there and be the underdog. So you can't underestimate. For example, let's say you're TCU, and you have Houston coming into your house. You can sit around and say, "Oh no, we're better than these thugs from Cougar High."
They haven't beat us in Fort Worth since 1989 when Andre Ware was there.
Yeah, and then you have your coach, your overweight, angry coach. He's slacking off and he's thinking about his place in Cabo. And then when you wake up and you kind of go, he's on thin ice. I'm just saying, he's on thin ice. And the board at TCU is a blowtorch right now.
They're just
they are not happy
together, aren't they?
They are not happy. And I am so happy about all of that. I just want to say,
well, we do that.
For the record, I just want to say, in TCU, you should have known it. You should have known it. You should have called us ahead of time. Probably could have warned you. But we're not going to talk about that. So make sure you come by the Epic party if you can.
Yep.
Let's beat the Cardinals. And we may do another podcast before the game this week from the winery, which will be really fun.
Yeah.
We might want to get Flora to come out there and have her do her French accent thing.
Yeah.
You know, at the winery. Would that'd be cool?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
dig it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great time out there on
Yep.
the West Coast. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We already had a lot of fun in Louisville. Now we get to go out to the West Coast. You're part of the country in a
Yes,
sense. You know,
exactly.
the King of Paso
Yes,
treating us to a time out there. So, yeah, head to epicwines.com/pony. Check out the Pony Express case. Go to ontheponyexpress.com to learn more about that weekend for Stanford, for Paso Robles. We're gonna have a blast. Looking
be
forward
so
to
fun.
it. We got SMU by 13 is what I've got.
That's the line?
For that one. No, it
Oh,
hasn't been
your line.
released. That's my line.
Okay,
That's
I'm
what
gonna say SMU by 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's rock.
I'm super confident.
Let's roll.
Our team has confidence right now.
From the Friday night tasting party that we're going to have to the end of the game on ACC Network, we're going to have a blast out there. Next week, as SMU takes on Stanford, looking to get bowl eligible in just the 7th week.
Can you believe we're halfway through the season?
No.
We're
Don't bring it up.
We're
Don't
halfway
bring
through
it,
the
you know.
season. This has been the fastest first half I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, times roll by when you're having fun, and we'll keep doing that. So
All right.
cheers. Hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the On the Pony Express podcast and the Walking Strong podcast.
Oh, right in front of Mustangs here, baby.
Yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Yo, I need to tell you one more fun fact. So my family makes champagne. That's what I was saying in French previously. And the little ritual is that we get baptized with champagne. So when I was about 6 months old, same as my brother, my little sister, and everyone in my family, we got baptized in the church with champagne from the family.
I love that. Paul Rasmussen at Highland Park United Methodist Church. We should think about that as a concept. Okay, I want to hear you say, y'all, my favorite podcast. Listen to my favorite podcast, but use your American accent.
Okay, need to train probably. Okay, y'all, let's listen to my favorite podcast, Walking Strong.
All right, that was very Frenchy. Let's try that again. My favorite podcast.
My favorite podcast, Walk
perfect.
Strong.
That's awesome.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU-on3 and on Instagram at On3SMU. And keep it locked to ontheponyexpress.com for more coverage.